You know, for over 2 decades, Chris Voss was one of the FBI's lead international hostage negotiators. We're talking about situations where one wrong word, one bad deal meant somebody died. But what he figured out in those pressure cooker moments wasn't just a way to save lives, it was a whole new way of looking at human interaction. Today, we're going to break down his secrets.
So, picture this. Chris Voss walks into a negotiation course at Harvard Law School, thinking he's there to learn. But it's a setup. The professors, who are literally the world's top experts on negotiation, hit him with that line. They're playing the kidnappers. It's a pop quiz, a simulation to see what the FBI's top guy is really made of.
And that really begs the question, right? How did this former B cop from Kansas City, armed with what he learned on the streets and in crisis situations, just consistently run circles around these brilliant minds who had mastered every negotiation theory in the books? The answer, well, it would completely change the game.
To get how he did it, you first have to realize something huge. The old rulebook is totally broken. Voss's time at Harvard showed him this massive gap between what the academics were teaching and what actually works in the real world when emotions are high and the stakes are real.
I mean, just look at the difference here. The old school, the Harvard way, it's all based on this big assumption that people are rational. It's about logic, problem solving, and fancy concepts like your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. The FBI's approach, though, it's the complete opposite. It starts from the ground up, accepting that people are emotional, unpredictable, and irrational. The entire system is built on psychology and, most importantly, empathy.
So why does that old logical way fail so often? Well, it's because that core idea, that we're all rational, is just flat out wrong. And it's not just a hunch. Modern psychology has proven that our brains are pretty much wired to be anything but.
And that brings us to the groundbreaking work of guys like Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, who introduced this idea of cognitive bias. Now, these aren't character flaws. They're like unconscious shortcuts our brain takes that literally warp how we see reality. We feel like we're being logical, but behind the scenes, our brains are running these little programs that lead us to totally irrational places. A big one is loss aversion. We're way more likely to take a huge risk to avoid losing something than we are to gain something of the exact same value.
Kahneman broke it down into 2 systems. You've got System 2, which is our slow, logical, rational mind. That's the one we think is driving the car, but it's not. The real driver is System 1, our fast, instinctive, emotional, you could even say animal mind. System 1 makes the gut decision, and then System 2, our own personal PR team, jumps in to create a logical-sounding reason for why we did it. So here's the kicker. If you want to influence someone, you can't talk to their logical brain. You have to talk to the animal.
Okay, so if logic is out, what's in? This is where we get to the FBI's secret weapon. This is the cornerstone of how they influence people in the most extreme situations you can possibly imagine. It's a powerful little concept they call tactical empathy. Now, this is a really key point. Tactical empathy isn't about being nice. It's not about agreeing with the other person or even liking them. It's the pure skill of understanding where they're coming from, their feelings, their perspective, what's driving them. It's about seeing the world through their eyes, not so you can agree with them, but so you can earn their trust and ultimately influence what they do next.
And this right here, this is what it sounds like in the real world. Voss is in a standoff with 3 armed fugitives holed up in a Harlem apartment. For 6 straight hours, instead of making demands or threats, he just verbalizes what he knows they're feeling. He's not saying, "I agree with you." He's saying, "I get it. It seems like you don't want to go back to jail." He's showing them he understands their reality without judging it. And by doing that, he disarmed their fear, he built trust, and after 6 hours, all 3 of them walked out peacefully. No shots fired.
All right, so that's the big idea. But how do you actually use it? This brings us to the fun part, the practical, hands-on toolkit of FBI techniques that you can literally start using today.
The first tool is so simple, it's almost silly. It's called mirroring. All you do is repeat the last 1 to 3 key words the other person just said. You say it with a questioning tone, and it magically encourages them to keep talking, to explain more. It's this super subtle way of building a connection, making them feel like you're on the same wavelength, even if you don't agree with a single thing they're saying.
Think it's too simple to work? Get this. A study was done on restaurant waiters. The ones who simply mirrored their customers' orders by repeating them back saw their tips go up by an average of 70%. 70! It works because deep down we all just want to feel heard and understood.
Next up is labeling. This is exactly what Voss was doing in that Harlem standoff. You're basically becoming a narrator for the other person's emotions. You use phrases that start with "it seems like" or "it sounds like," and you just call out what you see. It seems like you're frustrated. By putting a name on a negative emotion, you take away its power. It validates how they're feeling, and it's a massive shortcut to building trust.
Now this is a total game changer. Calibrated questions. These are open-ended questions that are specifically designed to give your counterpart the illusion of control while you're actually steering the ship. They almost always start with how or what. You can't answer them with a simple yes or no, so they force the other person to pause, think, and start solving the problem for you.
And here we are, right back where we started. Remember that Harvard negotiation? The demand for $1 million? This was Voss's killer comeback. It's the perfect calibrated question. It's not a no. It's a respectful question that says, help me understand. And just like that, it completely flips the script. It was no longer his problem to solve. Suddenly, the Harvard pros had to figure out a solution for him.
So, when you're using all these tools, mirroring, labeling, calibrated questions, what are you actually trying to achieve? What's the end goal? It's not to get the other person to say yes, nope. It's to get them to say 2 words that are 100 times more powerful.
Just think about the difference for a second. When someone says, you're right, what do they usually mean? They mean, please just shut up and leave me alone. It's a brush off. It doesn't mean they agree, and it definitely doesn't mean they're going to do anything. But that's right. Oh, that's the magic moment. That's the breakthrough. That's them admitting that you get it. You have perfectly summarized their position, their feelings, their world. That is the turning point.
And this isn't just theory. In a super tense negotiation with the terrorist group Abu Sayyaf for an American hostage, the negotiator on the phone summarized the terrorists' whole political situation so perfectly that their leader, Abu Sabaya, finally just said, "That's right." The instant he said that, the $10 million ransom demand, it just vanished. It was never mentioned again. That is the incredible power of getting to "that's right."
So look, these skills aren't just for hostage negotiators. You can use this stuff for everything, from asking your boss for a raise, to negotiating your rent, to just getting your kid to clean their room. Every single day is filled with negotiations, and these tools give you a serious edge.
Okay, let's get super practical. For something like buying a car, there's a system called the Ackerman model. First, figure out your target price. Then, your first offer should be a lowball anchor, say 65% of your target. After that, you make 3 more offers, but with smaller and smaller jumps each time. This signals that you're getting close to your limit. Then, your final offer should be a weird specific number, like $31,842. It sounds calculated and firm. And for the final move, throw in a non-money item, like asking them to include the floor mats, to show you've squeezed out every last penny.
So in the end, the big takeaway is this. Negotiation isn't a fight. It's not a battle of logic. It's a process of discovery. When you swap out arguments for tactical empathy, you can disarm people, find out what they really want, and guide the whole conversation to a place where the solution actually feels like it was their idea. So the question isn't just about getting a better deal, it's about taking control of the conversations that shape your entire life. Because really, if you don't negotiate for the life you want, who's going to do it for you?